Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to... why does Total War suck? For me. I'm pretty sure there are people out there that enjoy the Total War games. I mean, they sell like crazy, so how else should it be? But yeah, I don't enjoy them anymore. The thing is, the Total War series was great. I love them. I have played the crap out of Shogun, I have played the crap out of Medieval, Rome, Medieval 2. I even enjoyed somewhat Empire. There was a big break there because I noticed how much bugs it had and only bought it when it was pretty much fixed up. Well, it was never completely fixed, but it was good enough. The thing is, I didn't enjoy it as much as Medieval 2. So that's always a bad thing when they refine the gaming system, as they say, and you actually conceive it as worse than before. Napoleon didn't do much to improve that impression. It was better than Empire in my eyes. But it was too small and not as intricate anymore as especially Medieval 2. Then came Shogun 2, and that was actually quite fun. The thing is, what I started noticing with Shogun 2, it began a bit, but it wasn't as obvious. But I noticed that they started dumping down with special abilities, and it was more about having those special extra strong units and getting less about actual tactics and strategy. And besides that, you really noticed that the AI wasn't getting better. You would expect that with the improvements that were made in graphics and everything else, also the AI would improve. But for some reason it never did that. Luckily, back then we had the Darth mods by Nick Tomatis, excellent guy, an excellent mod series. But that should be the job of the developers. And then came Rome 2. Big announcement, and I was very happy because Rome 1 was a game that I hugely enjoyed. It wasn't historically accurate or anything, but it made fun. It was fun. And it was fun to play. I enjoyed the experience, even with the ridiculously strong militia hoplitas. But still, it was fun and engaging. And then it came out, and sorry, but it was a clusterfuck. You can't say it otherwise. It was an absolute mess of a game, with horrible bugs, horrible performance, an utterly brainless AI.
So in Rome 2, we have invested more resources into improving the battlefield AI than I think we have in any Total War game to date.
And that basically made me think, you're probably not in their target group anymore if they bring out this crap.
I'm old, Gandalf.
That was when I discovered there's something like Hearts of Iron. So yeah, thanks CA for introducing me to the Paradox games. Not that Paradox is an absolutely stellar developer and publisher, but it introduced me to the Paradox games. And I never looked back, save for the occasional little bit of, I just need to play Medieval 2 every few years. Now, what really bugs me about these games, because neither do the Paradox games have a great AI, is that for some reason these games have been dumped down to a degree that you think these developers must think you are stupid. And that's not something I enjoy in games. I want a challenge in that, not because the AI gets stuffed with money and manpower and what everything else in bonuses, but I want it because the AI puts up a tough fight. It uses good tactics. It drags you down, it encircles you, it grinds you down if it can. And that sadly isn't really there. I mean, there were some games out there that actually did that. I remember very fondly the time when I played Far Cry for the first time, the very first one, and Crysis 1. Holy shit, the enemy AI there, they put up a fight. They started to encircle you, called in reinforcements. That's something that I'm, by the way, severely missing nowadays from the Call of Duty games. So this AI actually fought you, and tactically. And for some reason, nobody has ever really attempted, no developer that I'm aware of has ever really attempted to do the same in a strategy game, in a grand scale strategy game. And on top of that, Total War piled ever more dumping down. Not only stayed the AI pretty stupid, but the games became easier. Like, you didn't have to care that much anymore about actual economics or how much you had to manage a single province. It was just taxes or no taxes or lower taxes across your empire. Instead of really caring about your provinces, you just build the standard build you have for a province to print money. And yeah, just have some special provinces that have... let's take Shogun 2, gold in them. So you build some building that improve the tax outcome. So I call them money printer provinces. Yeah, and not much more to do there. Everywhere else you just get standard build. And that is pretty annoying for me. Where is the challenge? Where is the immersion to actually care about your provinces? That's a bit better, for example, in Crusader Kings, where you have to hand over your provinces to others. You are the king, yes, and you have your own domain that is your main power base, but you also have allies, vassals, that control their provinces under your reign, but they have control of these provinces. I really liked that in Medieval 2 and Rome 2, you could place generals of your family and other families in the cities, and they became the governors and developed traits from that. That was a bit more micromanagement, but it was okay. And you could still use them as regular generals, of course, and even they sometimes got better or worse traits from fighting battles or losing them in case, and yeah, they could die, of course. I really miss that system. To my surprise, Three Kingdoms actually improved upon this system, that you now had to keep more an eye on the people that actually managed your provinces, and that you were even able to assign people from your court, also a great system, not just generals, but court, that you assigned people from your court to manage certain provinces. So that was also nice. And this with minor and major cities, that they come together to form a province, it's kind of like Crusader Kings, so it's okay. But I think it's probably not intricate enough. I would prefer if every province would have a capital, and you had, again, like in Empire and in Shogun 2 and Napoleon, it was better in Empire and Shogun, we have smaller buildings dotted across the provinces. And enemy units can actually raid them. In Empire, it was a viable tactic to just send some cavalry units behind the enemy lines and start raiding everything, because that also increased unrest. You could cause a rebellion like that with some support with spies. And I miss that quite a bit. Some more strategical and tactical depth, operational depth even. And I don't know. I didn't really find that in Rome or Attila anymore. Interestingly, some of these aspects were better in the Total War Warhammer games, that I quite like. I'm a Warhammer fan after all, but in other aspects they were worse again. And then this, that you couldn't send armies around anymore without a general. I don't know what they thought that would add to the game. For me, it was a serious dumping down. And while Three Kingdoms improved massively on the province system and even some of the building stuff, it damped down the army creation even more by basically robbing you of the option to build a properly balanced army. So, not saying anything about the diplomacy system. The diplomacy system in Three Kingdoms is absolutely great, but for every step forward, there seem to be 2 steps backward. And I don't know when Creative Assembly will finally come to their senses and accept that it is probably better to not have the absolutely most stunning graphics you have ever seen in a strategy game, but instead have a strategy game that people like to play because the mechanics are good. I don't just need battles that looks great and are well balanced. I need battles that are fun, not only against humans, but also against the AI. Of course, there are many people that enjoy building a superhero army in Three Kingdoms and just slaughter their way through China. I'm absolutely fine with that. If you have fun with that, go for it. But it's not the way I have fun, and from what I keep hearing from a lot of people is that they don't have fun in that too. There's a reason why the modding community for the Total War games is huge despite all the limitations that have been imposed on them since Medieval 2. For example, no option to really improve upon the map anymore or even build their own maps. The reason for that is that people like playing Total War, the base mechanics of Total War, but they hate a lot of the features Creative Assembly has put in there over the years. Most mods I see, for example, Divide et Impera for Rome 2, that has won a lot of awards, even from Creative Assembly, or Ultimate Immersive mod for Shogun 2, they all add something that is lacking, and that is depth. Depth and more intricate management of your empire, and more historical accuracy, to come back to what the theme of this channel actually is. And I've noticed more and more people that are really, really annoyed, especially by the AI. It has been really bad over the past years. I think the lowest point was probably the release of Rome 2 and maybe, a game I haven't mentioned yet because I haven't even played it or bought it, is Thrones of Britannia. Oh god, the AI was awful from what I have heard so far. Maybe it has improved, I have no idea, I've never touched it. I have enjoyed Three Kingdoms a bit. But I was planning to do a lot on this game. I have actually read up quite a bit on Chinese history. I have a bunch of books lying around here that people gifted to me, and I just couldn't deliver the video because the game annoyed me seriously in army management and combat. Another thing that has really gotten on my nerves over the years is that Creative Assembly has decided to take increasingly bigger scenarios like Empire, Napoleon, and now China during the Three Kingdoms era, without increasing the size of the armies, really. I mean, yeah, nice graphics are cool, but it would be cooler if our armies would actually reflect somewhat how the armies actually were at that time that we are playing in. And when you look at Empire, the armies are already far too small. And same for Rome 2. And probably even more so in Napoleon and Three Kingdoms, because the Napoleonic Wars were the first wars with far above 200,000 men on the field. I think the Battle of Leipzig, also often called Battle of the Nations, featured, I think, overall almost 1 million troops, or 750,000 men in total, on both sides together. So you don't get even close to that in the game. Not even close. The biggest you can probably get is around 8,000 to 10,000 men in total on the battlefield. And it's similar in Three Kingdoms, that has a bit of a bigger scale depending on how your armies are built, but never gets close to what actually was fielded at the time, what was also in excess of 100,000 men in total in these battles. So that, in my opinion, really hurts immersion. I mean, with worse graphics, it wouldn't be that much, because, yeah, I know there are people that all the time zoom in and actually enjoy the close combat that is going on. That, by the way, is far too quick in the newer games. But yeah, there's that. And there are those people that actually manage their battles from top-down view, or by skating around the battlefield and watching from multiple angles from further away. So those, at least, wouldn't be that much influenced. And when we look at something like Ultimate General Civil War, where one soldier does not necessarily reflect one soldier, but they are still, okay, due to 2D models, but still, there are far more men on the field than in a total war battle. I know, due to antiquated graphics, but nonetheless it creates more immersion for me to have these low graphic models en masse on the field, instead of the excellent graphic models that Creative Assembly provides us with, but there are far too few of them. And I think that is a problem. If you just don't feel like you are actually fighting in the time that the game is set in, then where is the immersion? I just don't feel those battles, and that's not good, not at all. So that is, for me, a massive problem to play the Total War games when they're just too small. Luckily, with the times we're living in now, with digital distribution technology and such, there are games coming up that will finally give Creative Assembly a run for their Total War money, like Nick Tomadis that I mentioned earlier, who made the Darth mods and is now creating the Ultimate Strategy series. Check out Ultimate General Civil War. And the Knights of Honor developers are back with Knights of Honor 2, so we finally get something to replace Medieval 2, probably, finally, as a good medieval game. I'm really thrilled. And I hope that Creative Assembly learns from it, because I loved their game, and I see there is a good core in them that often is really only showing when modders polish it. But that's not the job of modders, or it shouldn't be. They should make a game bigger and probably more interesting, but they shouldn't make the game playable for a good portion of the people that bought the game in the first place. That's not how it should be. So I hope it gets better for Creative Assembly, because I would love to play further games of the Total War series. But for now, I'm looking forward to all the other stuff, and since I have talked so much about how good mods make Total War playable, I will also provide you with some videos on Total War mods in the foreseeable future. The first of which will be Rome to Divide et Impera, in my eyes, probably one of the best mods for Total War ever. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave a like, leave a comment, that helps me big time. Maybe join one of my streams, hop over to Twitch and hit that bell icon. Yeah. Otherwise, think about supporting me on Patreon, and yeah, thanks for your time, and see you on the next video.